Hey, 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 welcome. Yes, welcome to Pillow Talk with the T. We are in our season premiere. We are back than ever. Yes, we are back. I'm so excited. Listen, it's been a long time. But our show is going to be amazing tonight. Our show is going to be off the chain and no other than anything, no better than anything, due to the fact of the show title is calling Doing It and Doing It Wow. Of course, it's more deeper in details of just doing it and doing it wow. It's more depth. So just a little short previous little, because I don't have copyrights. Of course, I only can do this. Doing it and doing it and doing it wow. Oh, she was raised out of Brooklyn. Doing it and doing it and doing it wow. Doing it and doing it and doing it wow. Doing it and doing it and doing it wow. I can only just give you that little bit because I no copyright. So, I don't want them to ban me. So, welcome. So tonight is amazing. We're not only just talking about just doing it wow, but we're talking in depth in regards of what doing it wow basically mean. This topic could be broad to any horizons, to any mindsets. It could be spared and geared to any direction. However, we're talking in regards to sexual function, sexual feelings, intimacy. And I do see that my guest is on here. So, but other than that, I'm happy. Welcome back, Pillow Talk with the T fam. Followers, subscribers, supporters. I am so amazing. It's been a long time since we've been back here. But listen, this season 3 is going to be amazing. This season 3 is going to be epic. This season 3 is going to bring you more spirit and depth, truth, raw, and something that our community and not only just the individual person need. So I'm just so happy. So basically, anybody have any questions, please make sure you put them in the question box. That I definitely want to be able to answer any questions that you guys may have in regards to what the topic is, whatever it may hit your mind, your thought, your feelings. Remember, as I always say, you guys are a part of the show. I wouldn't have the show if it wasn't for you guys. So you guys are a part of the show. So please make sure you contribute, make sure you participate, make sure you engage, make sure just keep it. Like I always say, this is like the old school family vibe at the kitchen table, and we're just talking raw, we talking candid, we talking unguarded, and we're being truthful and real. This is something that I definitely feel 100% in bringing back, because this is what I grew up with my family at the kitchen table, and we had those true in-depth conversations. We had those real true moments when we talked about anything and everything, and nothing was off the table. There was nothing that we couldn't speak about. There's nothing that we couldn't talk about. So I definitely want to bring that to the community. I want to bring that to the world. I want to bring that to people who didn't have it, or bring it back to people that that miss it, because so many matriarchs and patriarchs are gone. We have to keep that alive. So definitely in this generation of time, we all need it, as well as our kids. The kids nowadays definitely need that. I feel like we are their first teachers. They shouldn't learn nothing from no one else, but from their close village, family members, friends, supporters, community, and get the information from us and not just trying to get it from a stranger. So, but welcome. So let me end up bringing in my guest. I'm super excited, super duper excited. Listen, season premiere, episode 1 is back in the building. How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. You look amazing.
So do you.
Thank you. How you doing on this amazing Thursday evening?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm excited.
Yes, yes.
I am so excited. So as you guys could see, I have Miss Kimberly Thomas. She's a sex therapist. One thing everyone knows that I'm about mental health. I'm a true
Right.
believer about therapy. I'm not about the sweep it under the rug type of female or person. I believe that it is very, my family and my friends definitely know that we struggle with this, also in
Mhm.
regards to in our community. Um,
Yes.
but there's something I definitely wanted to be bring aware. I'm a strong advocate because I did lose one of my sisters to suicide 2 years
I'm
ago.
sorry to hear that.
Thank you. But definitely in regards of just being part of a, advocate about mental health and just not
Mhm.
only just the mental and the mind. I feel like if you give your body that nourishment, you got to also give your mind that nourishment.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I know you see basically the title of the show is Doing It and Doing It Right.
Yes.
So, but of course, some people may think and look. If you no disrespect, but if you're simple minded, you want basically be like, oh, okay. But I take a subject or take a topic and I go deep.
Right.
Because doing it well could be a broad concept of a topic. 'Cause
Absolutely.
in regards of just basically like sexual functions.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely basically want to touch on that because I have family, I have friends or people I know, partners and stuff that I know in the industry, my business, or just people I know in regards that had trouble with dealing with just sexual feelings, sexual functions, also
Mm-hmm.
intimacy. And one question I basically wanted to ask you in regards to when it comes to the fact of I'm not sure. Do your partner has the feeling when you no longer interested, when you just close off and shut down?
From my experience, just my own personal experience and my experience just working with couples and even working with individuals, yes, people can tell the vibe is off, the energy is off. There's definitely a break in that connection.
Mm-hmm.
So you can tell when your partner isn't interested. You can tell when they're like, all right, I'm done. Can we go ahead and wrap this up? So
Exactly.
so you can definitely tell based on all of those things.
And so, okay, so in regards of you being a therapist, what are other ways? Because for some reason, the topic sex is like one of those cringing topics that people cringe.
I know.
And I'm like, really? But see, me, I'm open. I'm like, what do you mean?
You're
And
right.
like, I'm very open with it, always been open, even when I was younger. Like, even like my family members had us be open with it, just
Hmm.
open topic of discussion, asking questions to learn things. So, in
Hmm.
regards of how can you give people that so timid about even um, having that discussion with their partners, not knowing what to say or how to dress their question in regards if they are no longer interested or if there's something off.
Well, I just want to start by saying kudos to your family, okay? Because that is not the norm. Most people in their households, the sex is like, don't do it. And then you still end up doing it, right?
Exactly.
And because it's such a taboo topic, we all know sex is the kids and we don't want our children having children. So it's like, don't do it. But I think the most important part is knowing your partner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Knowing how to approach the conversation.
Yeah.
I think just even talking about it outside of the bedroom is most important because if you can't have the conversation outside of the bedroom, that means things aren't going to be, or your needs aren't going to be met inside the bedroom. So
Absolutely.
just having that discussion, talking about what you like. I always tell people start with their yes, the things that they absolutely want to do during sex or enjoy during sex. Their hard no's. If
Mm-hmm.
you don't like it, say you don't like it. Communicate that to your partner because they're going to feel, again, they're going to know that this is something that you're not interested in. And they have like a maybe category, some things that it's like, okay, with some negotiation,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I will, be willing to try this.
Yeah, and that's the same thing I always say in regards of just having that conversation. Just to, because first of all, how would your partner know what you like if you don't have the conversation?
Right.
Not like we having this whole experiment and like, oh, let's just try. And then you try, but then it's like you're uncomfortable, but then you're uncomfortable to tell them that I didn't like that, or I don't like that, or
Right.
maybe not, let's not do that again. So in regards of that, I so I would say, please be open in regards of just
Mm-hmm.
having that conversation, because I feel like that's something that's the teacher partner how to satisfy you, you know,
Absolutely.
ways. So I definitely say, and then also like, what are some things that hold some? I would say, what are some things that hold some people back from doing it while in the bedroom? And and basically that question, basically what we just said, is
Mm-hmm.
that question. If you don't
Absolutely.
basically speak on it, if you don't talk, if you don't discuss, if you don't have the conversation. So, but I definitely end up definitely agree. And just doing my research, because I'm a researcher. I didn't know that there was actually 4 main components of male sexual functions. Because of course we know the libido,
Mm-hmm.
or the erection, we know the orgasm, and then I was okay. You know what I did, and of course the ejaculation. So I did.
Right.
We end up. I was like, okay, hold up. But then I found out that there was 2. There was like 2 extra ones, and I was like, oh, what? So I was like, okay. So I was just going very deep into the broad of the whole topic of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had sat there in regards to just our question of just having that conversation with your partner.
Mm-hmm.
What goes also touch with me is the intimacy.
Right.
Um,
Absolutely.
like what makes some people really like timid and being like intimate with their partners.
You know, like you touched on earlier, you have to teach your partner. I think we really have to get away from the idea of people are supposed to just know what we like. You know, we're not one size fits all. We're not one way works for everybody. Just because it worked for the last 2 chicks that he was with does not mean it's going to work for you, and vice versa.
I was just thinking that.
So being open and just communicating what you like to your partner will definitely help to increase that intimacy. You know, intimacy in sex starts outside the bedroom, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's not just kissing, it's not just cuddling, it's talking about your finances too.
Mm-hmm.
That's the intimate topic, right? Being
Because
on the same page.
that could shut everything down.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
I not to cut you off. I know as I realized to know myself more,
Mm-hmm.
either my plate is busy and full, or when I feel like my priority is not straight, or I feel like I have so much to do and I got so much time to do it, I'm closed off in that sexual department. Like I don't even
Mm-hmm.
about it because I got to get this fixed first and
Right.
have fun. So that's and I thought first I went at earlier stage. I used to thought that was an issue, but then I realized that it wasn't an issue because
Mm-hmm.
that's part of the intimacy and part of just part of if everything good outside the bedroom, it would end up taking greater in the bedroom.
Absolutely. And that's such a great point that people seem to neglect, even when it comes down to your health. If your health isn't good, your sex life not going to be good.
Say that again.
So that's just what it is. And you know, people don't want to talk about it, but diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, all these things impact our sex life.
Yes, it does. And that's one thing I'm a huge advocate of health and wellness. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I lost over 50 something pounds,
Wow.
still going strong, and
Mm-hmm.
definitely could tell the difference. Like my sex drive was crazy and ridiculous before, but now it's way off the chain. So
Mm-hmm.
and I pray that it still end up being that way as I get older. But I definitely would say in regards to that definitely takes a major part. It really
Mm-hmm.
does. Because it's like if you don't take care of yourself physically, it's like is not going to be as pleasurable as you think that you may have in your head, but
Right.
and then doing it acts as a completely different situation.
Exactly. And then, to go back to your question about intimacy, just knowing what intimacy means to you, right? Because we all have our own definitions.
Mm-hmm.
I can describe intimacy different from you, from the next person. So being on the same page with your partner so they understand what that means to them. That's the most important part. Again, it goes back to communication.
Yes.
A lot of things within our relationships can be addressed and resolved with proper and healthy communication. That's the most important part, is healthy communication.
Mm.
Spending time with your partner, setting aside time to just hang out and just remove distractions, whether that's, the television or with your kids or your phones.
Yes.
Being off of Instagram, actually sitting down and talking to somebody, spending quality time, all those things add to intimacy.
Yes, I definitely agree. Um, and that also basically puts, because effective communication, and I think
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's one of my intimacies, um, and that's my love language. Like
Okay.
you have to communicate with me. Like
Mm-hmm.
if it's broken, I automatically put a wall up. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna repeat myself. I see it's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be a situation, and and I stress that, but then it seemed like it still don't register.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of crazy because I'm like, okay, I'm not a recorder. I can't do this. But for some reason, men is very poor on communication.
I wouldn't say all of them, because I've come
All
across
the
some
ones out
men.
there.
I've come across some men who are like good communicators. I think that the most important part is reflective listening. I know people in general struggle with that. They're ready to respond. They're not just listening to what you're saying. They're not taking it in. They're not hearing you. They're ready to give that rebuttal.
Yeah.
So just take that step back and just actually hear your partner, hear what they're saying.
Yeah, and I definitely could agree to that because you could listen but not hear. And that's one thing about me that I end up changing. And I really tell people sometimes, you know what, my life coach, she said this to me. She said the things that you have trouble with and that you have issues with your partner honestly is the outward things of the things you have.
Mm.
So when she said that, I was like, okay, come on now.
She didn't put it back on you. She took it off of whomever it was that you was like, this person ain't doing this, and that. And she was like, nah, that's you. You need to work on those things.
Exactly. And then of course she like, she like, ask yourself, why do you feel like what makes you so angry to go from 0 to 100 or make up these stories? Because women, we will make up stories. We will make up stories in our head.
Yeah, you right.
Back the reason why he ain't text us back, he ain't called, the reason why he didn't come in the house is like, and we don't even have a chance to even explain, or to, it could be something completely different, but then
Mm-hmm.
end up speaking to him, it's like we just say all that, we just end up had a whole story in our head, but
Right.
when he calls, he like, oh, I had an accident. So you ain't going to pop off and go like this. You like, oh my God, is everything's okay? Is everything fine? So there we go with our gentle, motherly, loving selves after we
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. So I realized I had to end up focusing on, like, ask myself, like, why is it in regards to I get upset? Why do I make these
Mm-hmm.
stories in my head? So I had to end up checking myself. And that's one thing.
Right.
A lot of us, we do not like checking ourselves, just like a lot of us don't like to look in the mirror and peel back them layers.
Absolutely. You are absolutely right.
And I feel like that's something that we should do, because I feel like and believe that that's a part of growth. It's definitely a
Yeah.
part. And I understand it can be scary to some people, but it's healing. It's a healing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
also, what would you say in some ways for people that do have, because I understand that there's things, the reason that connects and affects intimacy, but I
Hmm.
think we did probably say this, but sometimes you got to always say it for the people in the back that didn't hear you. But what are some ways to like remove or resolve or conquer because also people have a fear to be intimate.
Absolutely.
So, like in regards to people having fears to be with intimacy, what are some ways they could remove or conquer or resolve issues of the fear of intimacy?
Well, I always encourage people to know yourself, right? How can you tell somebody about what it is that you desire if you don't know your own self? So it starts with that self-reflection. Really sit down and think about what's that barrier that's keeping you from being intimate? Is it, the things that you were taught, right? Is it some traumas that you may have experienced along the way?
Yeah.
Is it, your fear within the relationship? So
Mhm.
it could be a number of things. It could be anxiety, it could be depression. All of these things can impact intimacy.
Yeah.
So, I think that especially I hear it a lot for women, like body issues, especially after kids and things kind of change and, maybe you aren't the person. I mean, you birth a human. Like that's a major change physically, mentally, emotionally. So trying to get back to who you was or recreate yourself, embrace who you are now is a struggle.
Yeah.
And all those things are reflective in the bedroom.
Yeah.
So it's important to just take some time and really do a self-assessment and think about what are some things that you could do to really help you get back to a place of intimacy. Explore what you like. Maybe your likes have changed over time. We're human. We're gonna grow. We're gonna change. So think about what it is that you like now, as opposed to maybe you don't want to be intimate because your partner has been doing the stuff that you liked 5 years ago and you don't even like it no more. But you don't want to tell them like, that's not really my jam.
Yeah. Yeah. And also to go back what you just said in regards of like giving birth to a child, because I do see some female friends who may struggle in regards to go into being back sexual, having a sexual
Hmm.
functions and feelings once feeling sexy once birthing a child.
Right.
Like what are those things that they could be able to actually do in regards to just gradually getting back into that stage of really feeling like themselves.
Hmm. I think that the most important part is acknowledging that you have experienced the change.
Mm,
A lot of people, they're like, okay, I have this baby, and they expect to jump back into things. No, like, give yourself some grace, you
yes.
know, extend yourself that. Like, you owe it to yourself to be patient. You
Yeah.
owe it to yourself to say, okay, what can I do? What small things can I do to change or to get back to that place of intimacy? Whether that's putting on that cute lingerie, right?
Mhm.
Asking your partner, hey, can you step up a little bit to free up some time for you to even want to explore intimacy or to explore sex? When
Yeah.
you're busy, like one thing after the next, the last thing you want to do is have sex.
Yeah.
Like that's with or without children.
Mm, mm.
So,
And then also so even what you just say in regards of like with children, I always tell people you have to make time in regards of doing that too, because
hmm,
especially women, like, and especially first time moms, you definitely
yeah,
take time because your whole effect and your whole attention, bodies, mind, soul, spirit is all in that newborn. And,
hmm, right,
but I feel like you have to have a balance, have to find a balance in some way, some shape and form. And
hmm,
and I definitely agree, just getting to know yourself, because I feel like even when you become a mom, before you became a mom, you somebody different. Then when you become a mom, you a whole I feel like it changes you.
absolutely.
level. So definitely, I would say definitely getting to know yourself, getting to know who you are now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a new mother. I definitely agree. That's something, definitely agree. Cause that really didn't never register to me in regards of like, you're not the person you was before you had this child. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And even though something simple as that, you be like, okay, because we brush things so often, we let life pass us, and we don't really just take that moment to stay still. Just be like, oh, okay, dang, it's that simple. But
Right.
it may not be as simple to the person or the individual.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so in regards also in just the sexual functions and sexual intimacies, because I do have some friends and some people that suffer with certain things of just communicating, which we already talked about that, but which we already
Mm-hmm.
do. But also in regards to some people saying that they don't really get that the moisture or the wetness in regards to certain things,
Mm-hmm.
sexual life or whatever. So in regards to that, is there like this? Is there could it be? Because I feel like your like here, it triggers down there. It's connected.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is a connection, but I'm going to start by saying, let's remove the idea of what culture is saying. Like, you got to have this WAP, like, you should automatically have it. No, okay? It's okay to use lube. Don't let these people out here have you thinking that something is wrong with you. No. Okay? Do your research. Find a lube that works for you. Find a lube that works for your partner. You
Mm,
know, do not think that you're gonna always, and even if that was you at one point where maybe lube wasn't something that you had to use, it's okay to reach for it now. And
yeah.
it's definitely safer, because the last thing you want to do is not use lube
Mm,
and you're in a place of pain, because that's what that's going to lead to, because
exactly.
it's friction at that point, right?
Yeah.
So maybe if you feel like something medically is wrong, I always encourage all of my clients from day one, I talk to them about their health. What is your sexual health like? When was the last time you had, a full STI panel? All of those things can impact this, right? When was the last time you had a full physical? Because we know that health issues can impact vaginal, lubrication.
Yeah.
It can impact erectile issues or cause erectile issues. So addressing your health is so important.
Yeah.
And as we age, our bodies change,
Oh,
right?
definitely. Definitely.
So you may not have that, amazing WAP that you may have had in your 20s and your 30s or 40s.
True.
So,
or you can.
right. Or, maybe you was with the wrong partner back then and now you can, right?
That's true. That,
So it's all about being healthy and addressing your health and thinking about your health and then going from there.
yeah.
There's nothing wrong with reaching for lube.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I definitely agree, Miss Kim, with the facts. Absolutely. And in regards to also, this is where I also see a lot of people that also have a little struggle with, um, and it goes back for some. I don't know. It goes back of just communicating. It
Hmm.
always seems to go right back to communicating in regards of just telling your partner what you basically like. And I do see that a lot of people end up just struggle with just um the pleasure in themselves. Women have that very hard feeling like, oh, I don't do that. That's a sin. That's abandonment. That's abandonment of like, I shouldn't do that. But I feel like it goes back to what we say of you knowing who you are, you finding out who you are, you communicating
Hmm.
that with your partner, but you could only find out those things if you end up knowing how you like to be touched. Because
Right.
I also doing the research that I did, I see that some women, in that area, they basically, some women like to be touched a little firmer than the next woman, or a little,
Mm-hmm.
a little harder than the next woman, or some woman might like a little gentle touch, the other harder touch. And that's something I feel like that you doing it, pleasing and pleasuring yourself, you will get to know those ratios about yourself, if what you like, to
Absolutely.
communicate that with the partner. And I would tell women, please stop being so scared to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
any educational knowledge that you can give women to let them know that it's okay.
Well, I feel like, self-pleasure is empowering, right? Like you taking back that ownership. You can make it as sexy as you want to. You can put on that lingerie. You can lay out what it is that you like. Or if you want to grab a quickie in between, coming home and going out to the grocery store, doing whatever, that's your time. I think that we have to reframe the idea about self-pleasure and think about it as you're pouring into yourself. And
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. If you don't know how to please yourself, how can you tell your partner what you like, right? And I think it's important that to identify what gets you there. For some people, it's, just straight clitoris stimulation. That's what they like. That's what they require. Some people like penetration.
Mm-hmm.
So, identifying what you need can help you, move further into identifying, okay, do I need toys? Some people don't. Some people enjoy just using their hands. Other people are like, okay, pass me a wand or pass me a dildo.
Absolutely.
So so knowing what you like can lead you down the road to identifying which type of toys to get. Because I'll tell anybody, a good sex toy is not cheap.
No.
Okay. So knowing what you like is important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely sit there and I would say that no, a good sex toy is definitely not cheap. And I would definitely agree on, and if you are wanting to pledge yourself in that way, invest in a good one. It's a good investment.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a good
Absolutely.
investment. I agree 100%. And that's just another practice of just, just that, of just pleasuring yourself and getting to know yourself, because those benefits of just having, a toy end up basically helping you find out what ways of how you like to be touched.
Mm-hmm. And you can incorporate that with your partner. Just because you use it when you're by yourself does not mean that you can't use it with your partner.
Oh yeah, Ms. Gill, I was really about to go. Then they look at that like, what? It's like they feel like they got competition.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I wouldn't look at it like that. I would just be
No.
adding additional element
Absolutely.
to the
Absolutely.
experience that you about to both conquer and go on.
Mm-hmm.
And
And you know what?
as a therapist, why do you think that men feel that way?
I honestly believe some men feel threatened by it. It's like, well, why would you need this if you have me? Right? But I think it, like you mentioned, sex toys enhance your experience. It does not take away from your partner. And the reality is you can use a sex toy on men. I know the rose right now is everything. You can incorporate that with your partner, with the man, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't, just because a sex toy is brought into the room does not mean that it's replacing anything that a man or a woman or your partner, whomever that may be, can do for you.
Yeah. And see, and you say that you could be able to use a toy in a man. And I feel like there's men that's open-minded to it and that's
Mm-hmm.
okay with that and may even bring and introduce it to the female.
Mm-hmm.
However, there's not a lot of men be like, you are never touching me with those. They like you're not
Right.
doing that. So I just really feel like if men just get out of their own head and
Mm-hmm.
just realize that if you pay attention is a learning lesson, because
Right.
she's trying to tell you something. Because one thing I also learned, this, and me being a woman, and we women, we kick and scream are telling men, but we already be telling them just the things that we do for them, the suggestions that we do, and the stuff, the actions that we do. We already telling them what we want for them to do with
Right.
but they just don't pay attention. And just bringing ends up in regards of just toys into the bedroom. A man will really be abandoned, like, oh, like, I'm out, peace. Or they be like, you better put that thing back where you got it from.
You know, I think part of that is most men learn about sex from the internet. That, you know, I've had this conversation with friends, with family. Most men learn about sex through porn, right? And in most porns, you do not see a man busting out a sex toy to use on himself, or you do not see a woman using a sex toy on a man. So the whole idea of it is just very foreign. And I think that when men think about sex, most men, it's like penis and vagina, that equals orgasm. We having a good time, and that's it. So just redefining and reimagining, you know, all the things you could do and all the pleasure that the rest of your body can give you is so important.
And see, that taps on another thing, another question, because yes, sex and vagina, penis and vagina does equal orgasm, but they gotta realize, a lot of men gotta realize they don't give women orgasms like that.
Nope.
And I learned this is a separate of coming and orgasm.
Yep.
And and I learned that later on in life, because it's like I say, as long as we live on this earth, you constantly growing, you elevating,
Yep, absolutely.
getting to know people that surround you and people in general. So I realized and I learned that, like, oh, coming and orgasm is completely two different things. And I'm very blunt, open, and straightforward. A lot of men do not give orgasms to women.
You're right.
Or they don't even sit there and they don't have a woman coming. This is what I don't like. I don't like a selfish man. Because I like with some men, they feel like they take that once they hit the mark, it's like
it's over.
It's over.
Right.
And see what makes me upset, because I have friends who would have conversations with me and like, girl, he did not make me come at all, girl. I don't know what he thought he was doing. I faked it. I'm like, girl, bye.
You know, we have to stop faking it. Like, faking it, and I've heard of men faking it too, but faking it is only damaging people. And I say that because you got people out here thinking they're doing their thing, when in reality they aren't, because they're not getting to know the person that they're having sex with currently. Like I said, what they did with two women ago may have worked, right? But not now with this person, not now with your friends, whomever. So you got to tell people. I know it may be a sensitive subject, but the worst thing you want to do is to be sitting here wasting your time and then got to go home and pull out, you know, your sex toy or you know, masturbate or whatever, because you feel like your sexual experience wasn't fulfilling.
Exactly. Or when he or she leaves, then you now taking care of yourself because your sexual love tank wasn't filled.
Right.
It's like, that's when we go back just communicating that and just listen. I said this to partners. I don't know who you've been dealing with, but or I would say to them, like, whoever told you something, she lied. And this is where you go back to say they need to stop doing that, because they have them walking around thinking they doing something. Then they next woman because this other woman or man had gassed them up, and they're going to the next partner and sitting there thinking they doing something, but this person may not speak as, you know, fluently. But then you may have a woman like me or man that speak fluently and be like, hey, listen, I don't know what you was doing before, but it ain't, you gotta get like something gotta give, or you gotta work up or something. So And that's why I say that's where it goes back to just communicating.
Yeah.
And able to actually be, you know, and you could communicate and share with kindness, with care. It don't have to hurt the
Right. Right.
have to hurt them, because I feel like if you open it up, that the dynamic discussion, you want, to me, I feel like you care enough to have that conversation, and you want to be with them steady, be like, okay, she's trash, he's damaged, I'm done, I'm next, you know. So it's like you
Right.
opening that conversation and say, okay, I want to be with
Yeah.
them, but we need to just elevate in a little bit more in, you know, this area. And
Yeah, aftercare is very important. I think that, you know, having a conversation after sex doesn't have to be as like you pulling out a paper and pen and you're recapping it from top to bottom. I think it could be like a simple conversation or so. Did you like when, you know, I did this? Is there anything that I could do differently to enhance your experience? Just asking that question right there is a door opener, right? Because he may have felt like, dang, like she gave me head and she used too much tea. But he ain't communicating that to her or to him. And, you know, you think you're doing a good job. You
so
think they like it.
are them to do it after sex?
Yeah. Have a conversation. I mean, it doesn't mean like you have to literally like, this could be something as you just finished, you're cuddled up together after sex. Most people don't just rush to get dressed anyway, unless you have something else to do. Just, you know, so did you like when I tried blah, blah, blah? Did you like when I tried this? What would you like me to try next time?
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
those simple questions, I think, as opposed to, you know, a couple days later when you then kind of stewed over something and you may not come off as, you know, sweet. It can it can come off as abrasive but after sex and you just want to just check in and see if your partner liked it.
Yeah. Okay. So I definitely, that's cool. Cause you know, as thinking about it, is because you're both more vulnerable. You're both in a vulnerable state of mind where there's openness, where you could be able to, you not only just vulnerable, but you're more soft and it's soothing to ask the gentle question gently, and
Mm-hmm.
will give hopefully a truthful answer. But I'm guilty of the waiting, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, okay, I don't be like so aggressive with it, but I'm like, okay, how am I going to approach to talk about this?
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely would take that if it ever happens.
Yes, definitely. I mean, especially with new partners, you know, I think that new sex can be awkward
Oh,
sometimes.
yes.
I mean, you both trying to figure it out. It can be awkward. So I think in the beginning, starting that practice of just saying, so, hey, did you like when I did this? Or what did you think about this? Just starting that, you know, that opens the door with
Yeah,
your partner to speak freely about sex.
exactly. I definitely agree. But that's the most awkwardness, because it's like you don't really, like, you know each other but don't really know each other. And it's the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
so absolutely. And so what would you also in regards to, like, with the sexual functions, sexual feelings, and intimacy,
Mm-hmm.
regards of just basically just giving the tools to people of just what they should be able to go on to be able to do for themselves, to be able to actually communicate it in an effective way to their partner, and just basically just without it being so abrasively aggressive or harsh or whatever, but just giving those functions, because going back what you just said, like brand new partnerships and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So what tools would you end up just giving them in regards to that? Because I just feel like, again, it goes back to what you said. Some people could be very closed off in that matter due to the fact
Mm-hmm.
past traumas, past situations,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or whatever, something bad that may happen to them.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I think,
should a person actually, say for instance, in regards to someone that did had sexual assault, or someone that was of a domestic violence situation and also sexually assaulted in that situation.
mm-hmm.
But of course, you know, those healing components, that's a lifetime stage process.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it happen, even if it could be 20 years, the situation can happen. It's going to forever be a lifetime forever.
yeah,
But can you be able to give the components of a person actually, should they tell them, the partner in the beginning, in regards of like, hey, this is what I don't like, this is what I do like, but don't do this, because you know those triggers could be serious.
yeah. And it could be small things. It doesn't have to be something significant that could trigger somebody. So I would say it's all in the comfort level of the person, to be honest. You know, everybody feels differently. Some people are more open about talking about their traumas with new partners. Some people are more reserved. But I think that it's important for the person who was a victim or did experience that trauma to communicate when they may need a break. That's the most important part, because the last thing you want to do is stay in a situation where you've been triggered and then you know, still feel, or you have an increase in anxiety, right? And you just feel uncomfortable with this person. Just knowing when to say, hey, can we take a break?
Yeah,
You know, I think that going into situations with new people, you can decide what it is you want to disclose, right?
that's
And
true.
if you feel like, if you had this trauma and you know that you just intimacy and sex can be triggering, I'm sure you're going to be selective in who you do those things with, right? Because you want to be mindful of those things coming to the surface.
Mm-hmm.
So just thinking about ways that you can kind of be mindful what that feels like,
Mm-hmm.
acknowledging that, and then saying, hey, can we pause for a moment, right? And being open enough with your partner. Maybe you don't have to go in full detail, but just explain to them like, hey, I've gone through some things in my past and I need to take a break. Do you
Yeah.
mind if we stop doing this for right now? It doesn't mean you can't revisit it, but in that moment.
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted to touch on it because I know that we're speaking about these areas, and I know that, you know, everyone is different because people do have come from different backgrounds, different
Mhm.
situations. So I just also wanted to touch on, like, because I have people who that I know that's, you know, domestic violence survivors or survivors of sexual abuse, assault, or whatever. So,
Mhm.
of course, like I say, that's a process, of lifelong process of healing. So I definitely
Right.
give them also the components and some tools of what they should do and how they should move about just sharing with their partners. Because I had one conversation with a friend of mine. She been with this person for probably about 5 years and
Mhm.
didn't share anything to him in regards to what she'd been through, but certain things that he was doing, it triggered her. And
Mm.
well, did you speak to him about this early on? Did you at least have that conversation? Because it's nothing. It's he can't. He don't know if you don't.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's
Mhm.
not like to walk on eggshells, but it's also to be able to be respectful of the fact that, okay, I am dealing with a woman or a man,
Mhm.
because you know
Mhm.
go through it too as well. Have, you know,
Right. Absolutely.
and you know I want to be able to know that which way I could be able to approach without it being a feeling of a trigger for him or her. So I just
Mhm.
wanted to throw that out to them because, like I say, I know people who actually been through it, survived it,
Mhm.
and you know still healing through the process.
Yeah.
So, but definitely. So I just don't want to only just hit just the other, just one set and don't hit the other because everybody,
Yeah. 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 And I,
what I doing over this?
but you know what? You brought up a good point that healing is lifelong, right?
Mm-hmm.
And taking that journey of healing is so important.
Yeah,
That can definitely open up more doors, create that comfort level with wanting to communicate, knowing who to communicate that to. Not everybody deserves to know that piece of you.
that's true.
You know, not everybody is going to take that and from a place of nurture, but a place of harm. So taking that journey, knowing who to disclose that to and when the right time, from my personal experience from working with people who have had, experiences with trauma, everybody is different. There's some people who are comfortable enough to share those things, and there's other people along their journey where they're like, I don't want to share those things, because you never know. I think that especially in the Black community, those things are suppressed. A lot of times those perpetrators were family members, those people that was close to them, that was cousins, uncles, brothers, sisters, babysitters. So when you get into that level of trauma, it can be tough to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because once you open Pandora's box with somebody, especially when they care about you, they're going to want to know more naturally.
That's true.
So that's something to think about.
So do also in regards of just having that person end up talking to the person about, does it a factor of feeling comfortable with the person you getting to know, like, because I've been in situations or relationships where I'm like, you can feel like, I don't think I want to open up. Like,
right.
Don't feel like I could open up with, because it's like you automatically know if it's a person that you vomit everything that to, you will know that person will keep your stuff and just between you and
yes, right.
And there's some people like if I even just get just a little smicket, they gonna run and just tell it all.
Right.
So do you also feel like that playing a part of that, just that internal feeling that you feel comfortable with the person that you're sharing this information with? Does that also part?
I do. I think that's important. I think that, we have to listen to our bodies. Our bodies will never steer us wrong. We're going to have some type of response when we think about somebody. Now, if you have like a gut feeling, don't ignore it. Think about it. See, explore why you're feeling that way. Is it just you and your own anxiety about communicating this? Or is it the person in which you're thinking about sharing it with? Because like you said, some people, you tell them they're going to tell 10 people. And now your business is out here. And that wasn't the intention. It was to share with a partner. So comfort level is definitely important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So listen, it's been such amazing and a pleasure. But I definitely want you, because I could say it to people all day, every day. But just you being a licensed professional counselor, and I know how much mental health in the Black community is to you, how it is to myself. Can you just share with people in regards how the importance of mental health and just getting and seeking counseling or therapy and the benefits of the components that it could be for them?
Yes. I will tell anybody, and I always say, therapy is not a service that you seek when you're in crisis, right? Therapy can be for maintenance. You can have that therapist that you check in with once a month, every 3 weeks. Let's not wait until we feel like our worlds are crumbling, we're at, wit's end to seek therapy. Therapy is for maintenance. Like, I know in the Black community, it's like, okay, we're going to pray for you and it's all going to work out. No, it's okay. We can have Jesus and a therapist. There's nothing wrong with having both. He led us here, right? He put us all in these situations. So, seek out a counselor, seek out a therapist. Look for those people. A lot of people have sliding scales. Use your insurance. Start, if you're not sure where to go, start with EAP. Most employers have EAP, which is an employee assistance program, I believe, where you can get free counseling sessions just to experience it, right? There's a lot of different services out there, such as Clinicians of Color. They have a directory where it's just nothing but clinicians of color, right? Which is, I know it's hard to find someone who looks like you. And it definitely creates a different comfort level when you sit across from somebody that can identify with you on a different level. Yeah. So that service is out there. Therapy for Black girls. Therapy for Black men. There's a lot of, please explore what's out there. Seek help. Don't wait to the last minute. Even if it's just a Christian counselor, if that's what you're interested in. There's so many different types of therapy. I'm a sex therapist. Most people are like, what? But I'm a sex therapist. So don't wait till the last minute. Tap into those resources.
Yes, I definitely agree. And a lot of my I call my viewers my fams. So a lot of my fams in regards know in regards that I'm 100. Look,
Mhm.
I had my therapist for a long time, and as I see even more, when I even found her,
Mhm.
before I even got to her, of course, it was a process. But they asked the clinician, the receptionist, the people before you get to her or him,
Mhm.
they ask you, what's your preferences? They ask
Right.
like, do you want a black, some it seems like someone be timid to ask that question, but they be like, hey, do you want a black therapist, you want a man or you want a woman, like what age range? They ask you these questions because they do this now because they feel like and they know that a therapist or a psychiatrist or a counselor is a relationship.
Absolutely.
It's a
Absolutely.
and it's like if you don't vibe with that person, it's not going to work out. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to continue or you're not going to go back.
Mhm.
So it's like it's an in-depth relationship, and it's a forever because once you honestly connect and you click with that counselor, therapist, or whoever, guess what? You got a lifelong now relationship commitment. And
Yeah, for sure.
so definitely, I always say people and for us in our community, stop trying to sweep everything under the rug, and like you said, don't wait until the when things are chaotic or when there's trauma or there's things that's off the chain. I feel like you say, it's a maintenance because sometimes I have to check in with her. I have to
Mhm.
say, hey, it's mental check. Like I need you, and
Right.
it helps, because
Mhm.
like you say, praying could do one thing. Meditating for me is also another thing that I do, and then working out is another thing. So and then
Absolutely.
me talking to her. So those 4 or 5 components together makes
Mhm.
grown mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
Mhm.
It makes a whole of the individual. So I always tell people, please just go and seek. And then just the fact of that I seen it firsthand in my face, the in depth of what
Right.
destruction or what mental disorder is, of just a family member or family members I know who struggle with it. So absolutely just go get it for real, like seriously. But it definitely been a pleasure, and
Yes.
I do want to thank you so much. But definitely
Absolutely.
people know where they could find you at, how they could be able to seek their services as well.
So I provide services virtually in the state of Virginia. I'm only licensed in this state currently. You can check me out, of course, on Instagram at You Are Sexually Worthy, or you can check out my website at www.transformationspacets.com.
Yes, yes, yes. So you guys make sure you definitely go check her out. Listen, your
Yes.
in state. They don't have to because now they got everything so virtually that you could do it through Zoom, you can do it through
Yep.
FaceTime, any Skype. So it doesn't have to. So you connect with somebody that's not in the same city or state that you in. Listen, get them, and like she said, check your insurance, and even if you have Medicaid as well, listen. Go on the website, and then you can find amazing
Yeah.
therapies as well. So listen, Kimberly, I do appreciate you so much. Thank you for
This
accepting.
was fun. Thank you for the invite.
You are so welcome, and thank you for accepting my invitation. So you have an amazing night. I do appreciate you so much. And we'll do this again.
Yes, absolutely. We got to come back with a part two.
Absolutely. Something more deep and details. Absolutely. So, and also before I go for my pillow talk with the T fans, everyone knows that I like to do a black business owned shout out to a black owned business. So today or tonight, I like to shout out the company actually who made my shirt. So this company is called Southern T-shirt Chic Vow Company. You can find them on Instagram at So Chic Vow Co. So that's SOCHIC VINYLCO on Instagram. And
I'm
they're
gonna check them out.
listen, listen. I was like, oh yes, let me get two. Let me get one of those and one of those. Like, yes, and they represent nothing but the black,
Yes,
all
yes.
and all the goodness. Please definitely check them out and listen, you guys. Let you know next week we are back next Thursday. We have even more of a greater show. We have more of an episode, and like I say, this is season 3, the first episode of season 3 to premiere tonight with my guest, Miss Kimberly Thompson, the sex therapist. And listen, this season going to get only deeper and deeper and greater and more filled.
Yes, I'm gonna be tuning in.
Yes, stay tuned. Put your notifications on. If you guys even had topics that you want me to be able to hit on, if you end up having guests that you say, you know what, I need you guys to get, I need her or him to go and connect with Qua, please hit me up in my DM or either email me at pillowtalkwitht@gmail.com. And also, we do have the Pillow Talk with the T letter. So if you, then it's Pillow Talk with the T letter. So what that is basically is anybody that may have a story or question or something that needs assistance. So if you recognize the strawberry letter, basically you want a story, want advice. So we call ours the Pillow Talk with the T letter. So you have advice, but you want to be anonymous and you don't want to be seen or known over to the forefront. We are to be able to tell your story, share your story, and you get multiple tools of different advice from not only just our Pillow Talk with the T viewers, but also myself and then the guest that's on it at night. So you'll get a great full of advice or what to do or what you should, and then you take it from there. So all you got to do is just email us the anonymous letter at pillowtalkwitht@gmail.com, and we'll be glad to be able to assist you. So we do appreciate you so much. Thank you so much, PWTT fan, for tuning in, and I will see you next Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with amazing, a great, more deeper topic. And please stay tuned. You have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.